Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Today I will do something slightly different, and I say it that way because I'm not too sure how I'm going to do this video, but I wanted to do a group reading for NCT to see how it's going to go this year for them. I don't know, my brain is a little bit scattered right now. I'm trying to put my thoughts together and figure out the best way of doing this, since I'm still kind of thinking to myself, what is NCT, you know? There's 1, 2, 3, 4 subunits, and then it's all of them, and then new ones continue coming in all the time. So my brain is just trying to process what NCT is as a concept. I don't think SM even knows what's going on with NCT. And because of that, I actually wanted to start with that. I have 2 opening questions, and then we'll figure out the group. We're gonna have mini short readings for each unit. And the first question that I kind of want to answer, I guess, is what is SM planning to do with NCT this year? Since, I'll take one card first. Let's take out one card of the Wild Unknown Spirit Animal deck to see what is the energy that SM has right now? What is SM planning to do with NCT this 2021? Because I don't know what's up. So I think that's all I need. So it seems like right now SM is trying to figure out what they're gonna do with NCT. That Phoenix tells me that they're trying to not submerge, but they're trying to revive the flame, or they're trying to figure out the best way they can make NCT more successful. I think that they had a certain plan as to what NCT was going to be, and NCT hasn't fulfilled that plan because, to me, it feels like SM didn't do a proper sketch or a proper outline and things to figure out how to make NCT successful. Because to me, it feels like SM was we have this idea that we want to make a rotational group, but they don't really know how to make that happen under their own terms. And because of that, NCT has been kind of in the waiting list. They have been very experimental with NCT, and because of that, it doesn't feel stable or well established. And the other card that we have, which is what is SM planning to do with NCT, and I think is they're trying to make NCT their cash cows. They're trying to I'm not surprised. SM is a company, they're trying to make money out of what they're making, and their product is NCT. So we have the Queen of Cups, so that tells me that they want to make money out of it, of course. It also feels like they're trying to make NCT more visually appealing, if that makes sense. It feels like they're trying to attract the general public's eye towards NCT. They're trying to make sure that they're earning the hearts of strangers. It seems like they're trying to, because the Queen of Cups is all of the Queen of Cups. I just said the Queen of Cups. The Queen of Pentacles is, if you look at her, very happy right now, but it's Taurus energy, so it's someone that knows how to make money. It's a sign that knows how to live in luxury, has a very good, and it's out of focus. It's actually, in the contrary, Taurus is a sign that is super focused, super goal orientated. So I think SM is still trying to figure out what to do with NCT and how to make them make money for them, big bucks. The next card that we have is the Ace of Swords, so that tells me that SM is trying to figure out a way of communicating the right things, or they're constantly getting new ideas of how they can objectively make NCT a more successful group. And when I mean successful, I mean money-wise. I do feel it's a company, they're trying to just make money. And it seems like SM is trying to figure out a way to kind of, I think they're trying to figure out a way to make NCT the type of group that they can just do whatever they want and it's going to bring money anyway. They don't even have to try anymore, because we have the 9 of Wands reversed. So to me, that feels like putting your guard down. So I guess in a way, SM is trying to figure out how they can make NCT run on its own. if that makes sense. So yeah, I have the feeling that this year SM is doing what they've been trying to do with NCT since the beginning of time. Make them just work as a product. You know. We have the Queen of Wands, another queen. So that tells me that there's a lot of fixed energy. Because we have Taurus and now we have Leo. So again, beauty seems to be a very important thing. A lot of like getting attention from people because we have the Queen of Wands. What's the other thing that I'm getting? Queen. So it feels like SM is not necessarily aiming for NCT to be like the top dog of the industry as much as their goal right now is just to be on the green with them. You know, be on the green numbers or making sure that they're earning a lot, as much as they can, with as little input as possible, which is what I'm getting with this one. With this 9 of Wands, it feels like SM is just doing what any business is usually thinking of. How can I make money with the smallest effort, the smallest amount of money possible? So if anything, SM is just thinking as a company. And it seems like this year they're just trying to do what they always do, figure out how they can earn money from their groups. And yeah, let's see. Now the other question that I have before we start with like the individual, how do you call it? The individual mini group readings for NCT. We're going to ask what is currently going on with NCT. So this is kind of like the plan that SM has for them this year. But I want to take out a card to see how is NCT doing currently, like right now. We have the fire ant. So that tells me that right now NCT is just working very hard. We have a whole army of ants right here focusing on this, which is, it feels like this is what on the top, this is what SM is aiming NCT to be, a phoenix rising from the ashes. But right now NCT is actually a bunch of fire ants. They're all trying to work very hard to accomplish their dreams or goals, and if you notice, the colors are actually very similar. So that tells me that NCT is of course nowhere close to where SM wants them to be, because it feels like SM is like, I have a goal, an objective, but I don't know how to get there. And that's their biggest issue right now. Since the company doesn't know how to get there, and they're still struggling to communicate how they want that, or how they're planning on making that goal possible. I think that's why it's not working. So now let's take out some more cards to see how NCT is currently doing. We have the 10 of Wands reversed. So it kind of feels like they're trying to get rid of a burden, or they're trying to get rid of feeling like they have a lot of responsibilities. I feel most of them are trying to relax a little bit. The next card that we have is the 7 of Cups. So that tells me that there's like a lot of options. So I have a feeling that currently, because SM has made NCT be like a whole group now, like all 23 of them, many of them have an option of not having to stick within their own group or unit. Now they can be more within those like mixed units, if you want to put it that way. Does it count as mixed units if they're not? Yeah, it counts as mixed units. So you have people sometimes participating in one song, other people participating in other songs. So I think that has helped many of them feel like they have many more options, they have many more things to do. Not to mention that towards the last part of 2020, SM actually put NCT to work, taking out like a bunch of songs for them. Next we have the 6 of Pentacles reversed, which tells me that many of them still don't feel secure or balanced. Many of them feel like they're getting overworked, or many of them feel like they're not getting what they deserved or many of them feel like things are not fair. They feel like it could be like there's this sense of someone's giving a lot more than what they're receiving in return, as much as it could be like they're receiving a lot and they feel like they're putting very little in it. Like, I'm not too sure. I feel it's probably the first part of it, right? Like, I really doubt they feel like they're not getting enough. I mean, they're not giving enough. Especially since it seems like they've been like working very hard to make things happen. So yeah, it feels like there's a lot of distractions also with the Seven of Cups. Like there's a lot of things that have to be done, a lot of projects going on at the same time, which could be very confusing. And if that's the case, I'm getting that this Nine of Wands, instead of being lifted of responsibilities and burdens, it's like there's this even bigger one that is getting on the way. So you're carrying so many responsibilities and so much more that it's weighing them down a lot more than they may have thought of at first. And the last card that we have is the Eight of Cups. So yeah, it feels like whatever state NCT is right now, it's not a comfortable one, or it's not one that it's making them very happy, because we have the Eight of Cups reversed. So I'm getting that it could be one or two things, right? Which is they should continue staying with those struggles and power through those difficulties, you know, stay in all of this, I guess, unstable energy, and eventually everything will come down into place. Or the second thing is that many of them should start walking away from something that is not serving them, because we have the Seven of Cups and then the Eight of Cups. So it feels like there's so many options, there's so many things they could do, so why stick to this one if it's not satisfying them, right? So it kind of feels like, even though some of them may not feel satisfied, I mean, I'm technically tapping into the energy of 23 different people, so if that's the case, I'm not surprised some of them are like, yeah, I'm going to stick through this, I'm going to continue through all of these difficulties, this is just a little obstacle, everything will get better, right? While other people are like, I don't like this is I'm just being overworked, it's bothersome, I'm not getting what I deserve. And because of that, many of them want to leave or may feel like they have to leave, so like that these burdens are lifted off of them, right? So I'm not saying necessarily that anyone from NCT is leaving the group, so I don't think NCT is disbanding, but if any one of them were to actually leave, I think it will take a couple of years before contracts are over. And if anyone tries to leave, it will definitely be a fight between that person and SM. So I do think that they're all in a situation where it will be very difficult to leave the group if that's what they desire. So it explains why the Eight of Cups is reversed. They can't leave behind whatever is not emotionally serving them. And because of that, it seems like NCT right now currently is just being overworked, and they're not super satisfied with the results. It's burdensome. There's options, but there's not an equal give and take relationship between them and, I guess, the company in this case. But with all of that said, we will put all of these cards away, and we will go on to setting up the stage for the mini group readings. So I'm going to shuffle, and I'm going to take out one card for each subunit, and we're going to do what I usually ask. The first question is, where is that subunit currently at? Right? The second question is, what's in store for them career-wise this 2021? And the last one will be an advice card. So we're going to use the, what is it called? I have the name right there. The Night Sun Tarot, to figure out the first section. The cards just kind of fell, but I was not ready. We're gonna put them away. So let's see. So how is NCT U currently doing? Which this one is the one that is like the most dynamic, the one that changes the most. So I'm gonna take out two cards. Okay, we have the first group. How is NCT 127 currently doing? So let's see, maybe some groups are a little bit more established than others. How is NCT Dream currently doing? And how do you say it? I say WayV. But do you guys say WayV? I don't know how you guys will say it. I will continue saying WayV. So let's see, how is WayV currently doing? And with that, we have our cards. Now, the second question, we're going to use a manga tarot. And let's see. What's in store for NCT U's career this 2021? We're going to take one card out. How about NCT 127? let's see, NCT Dream. So I'm doing this in case their SM is planning to have them all promote with their units instead of the whole group or whatever. So that's why I'm doing this, just in case. And then we're gonna take out 2 cards for advice. So let's see, any healing messages or advice for NCT U. For NCT 1 to 7. For NCT Dream. And the last one for WayV. Ugh. I thought that card folded. It always hurts my heart when I feel like my cards are getting hurt. And I think I'll pull out 2 cards of advice for each one of them. So NCT U. Wait. Well, there goes one. NCT 1 to 7. Let's see, NCT Dream, any advice or healing messages? Wait. And our last group, any advice or healing messages for WayV? Wait, the struggle. And with that, we will enter each individual one. I think I'll put them all nicely and put them all to the side. So this is WayV. This is NCT Dream. And here, let me put them like that. No, but then I'll forget. So we'll have them like this. And with that, we're going to start with NCT U. Anyway, so we're going to go on to NCT U and let's see what's in store for them. So the first thing that we have is how are they currently doing, which is the 4 of Pentacles reversed and the 5 of Cups. So that kind of feels like they are currently having to let go of any attachments they have. The 5 of Cups tells me that they've been, they're crying over spoiled milk, as I heard once. Or like they're looking a little bit more towards the negative side, which makes sense. NCT U has been the most unstable group of all of NCT, considering that they're constantly changing. There's new people coming in and other people leaving. And NCT U, I guess, is kind of like NCT U for Universal. You put whoever you want in it and you do as you wish with that one. So that's kind of how it feels right now, right? If we look at the signs that we have here, we have a Sun in Capricorn reverse. So that tells me that many of them don't really know how everything's working, don't feel like there's like a stable foundation as to how they can make things work, or how they can, or they can't really see very far as to there's no expectations laid down for NCT U, and because of that, many of them may feel a little bit of instability. And that 4 of coins, 4 of Pentacles, my bad, reverse, kind of tells me that many of them can't feel attached or can't feel comfortable and rooted in NCT U. As I mentioned, is the one that is constantly changing. It's always something different, something new, and all of that innovative energy, all of those changes, all of those new ideas are constantly being put on NCT U. It creates this unstable foundation of you don't know what to expect, but it also feels like many of them can't even feel attached with the name of NCT U because of all of those changes. And I think many of them actually see it as kind of in a negative way, I guess. Let's see, we have Mars in Scorpio, so many of them may work very with a lot of intensity. There's this strong motivation to get things done, but and here's that's Mars in Scorpio. But there's also this whole thing of feeling the shadows, SM is doing their own stuff, and because of that, NCT is always left in the okay, so what are we doing now? What unit are we in? Like, what's going on? And because of that, it's just like currently they're still in that energy of not knowing how to feel and trying to not get too attached with the idea of whatever's going on, because it's always changing and there's not even like a plan, right? It feels like this is all just like, let me throw in some money and hopefully it makes me more money, right? It doesn't feel like it's planned. It doesn't feel like it has a purpose. It just feels a little bit overwhelming for the members themselves. And then what do we see for their career? We have, for this 2021, we have the Priestess, which is number 5, or they are kind of the High Priestess. So I do think, I'm in the Hierophant. So it feels like this year is going to be a year where there's going to be structure. Again, Taurus. There's this Taurus energy again. Because the Priestess in this case, which is usually the Hierophant, is Taurus energy. So fixed energy, goal orientated, completely focused, tunnel vision focused. So it feels like this year NCT U's career is going to be a little bit more focused. So I wouldn't be surprised if SM finally gets it together and is like, you know what? Let's make a plan. What are we going to do? And then that brings some certain level of stability. It also feels like NCT U has become like the guiding light for the rest of the groups. And when I mean guiding light, it almost feels like, just like it is the one that people always come and go, it's also the one where everyone can say we're all part of NCT U, I guess you could put it that way. And if that's the case, NCT is NCT U, and NCT U could be NCT. Like, I don't even know, right? Do you guys know what's up? Or is it just me, like, being, like, not a super NCT fan, and that's why I don't know what's up? Or, like, are we all on the same page? We don't know what's going on. I bet SM is also on that camp of we don't know what's going on. But anyway, with this card, I feel like this year a lot of them are going to find a bit more stability. There's going to be a more predictable or a more well planned out plan. And because of that, it's going to be, I think, a little bit more successful, because a lot of people will feel a bit more secure with the stability that NCT U is building. And I do think that in this year, they're going to do things in such a way that it's going to make more sense. Is going to have a sense of purpose, and that purpose is going to be very beneficial for a lot of people to start staying, if that makes sense. And let's see, what advice do we have? We have the Cobra. We have the Buffalo Spirit, which is the abundant universe will provide, and the Bee Spirit, sweet results await. So it seems like NCT U as a subunit is going to do very well this 2021. And this Cobra, to me, feels like everything's finally going to be grounded and rooted. There is confidence with that yellow and orange, and then there's a little bit of purple, so that tells me that there's a little bit more of long-term planning and more insight into like what is going to get done this year. It also feels that this abundance and sweet results kind of point out that NCT U is going to be bringing a lot of money, or they're going to be very successful. So it could be success in two ways, right? Success of like bringing more money or bringing more people. So it feels good. And I'm seeing the sense of, it's 10 p.m. right now that I'm recording, and there's a 10 right here. So it feels like a new beginning is definitely starting for NCT U. And I think that new beginning shows a lot of changes, because we have 2 5s, and this fire Cobra means like almost like this alpha energy. And what I mean by alpha energy, I mean like it's something a little bit more stable. It feels like it's like matured fire. And what I mean by mature fire, I mean someone that is taking action in a way that makes sense, or is taking action with purpose. And I think that's the whole thing, right? Like there's purpose to whatever is going on with NCT U. And what I got from the Cobra is this whole thing of shedding old skin, right? So they're like ending a cycle, getting rid of something and starting with something new. And I feel that this new step, or this new era, or this new phase, or whatever, is going to be very beneficial to the group, because it's going to bring sweet results. So I think the advice is more like, just trust that it's going to work out, even though they currently feel like they don't know what's going on, they don't know how things are going to turn out, and everyone seems to be like a little bit in like party poopers and like Debbie Downers, just kind of going like everything's negative, everything's not clear, we're in the shadows, we don't know what's going on. I do feel that when everything gets together and that change towards stability is made, then everything will make sense. There's abundance. That sweet results tells me that there's going, whatever SM sees as success is going to happen, and I think this year is the year. So, and if not, this is the year to make it happen. But with that, we will go on to the next subunit, which is NCT 127. So currently, they're in the energy of the Seven of Pentacles. Let me put this one more to the side. Of the Seven of Pentacles. So that tells me that currently, but it's reversed. So it's kind of like there's this sense of impatience, or there's this sense of not being balanced. So there's a chance of like, again, this whole idea of they're currently, since things are very, I don't want to say unstable again. I kind of want to, it feels like since things are still not concrete and not clear, it brings this imbalance within the group. And the second unit that has seen a lot of changes has been NCT 127, but nothing too crazy, right? It has been like the same 10 or so people. It hasn't really changed over the years. So the thing that I'm feeling is that many of them are starting to think, okay, so with this new phase that we're entering, what is going on? What is going to happen? And a lot of them may have lost patience, or may have lost the ability to wait for the fruits of their labor to blossom. Many of them may have maybe not stable, because it's Pentacles energy, or they may have gotten a little bit desperate that things have not materialized the way that they had expected. It also feels with the Seven of Pentacles reverse that there's this sense of not feeling guided or not feeling supported. And supported here, I mean physically, like not getting the money necessary, not getting the material goods necessary for things to get done. However, this 2021, what we see for their career is the Prince of Pentacles. So a lot of earthy energy. So in this case, is a Page of Pentacles, so that feels like it's a new beginning, a message of how things can be stable, a message of how money can be happening, or the beginning of a long-term or a more stable, not relationship was the thing. In this case, it's not a relationship, it's career. So this feels a little bit more grounded, a little bit more stable, and it's earthy energy. So there's finally checkpoints or goals or what other words? Objectives that can be accomplished. There are finally some SMART goals, so a way that you can measure your progress, so like that they don't feel like this impatience. Like there's finally a way of saying like, okay, we're succeeding, we're moving forward, right? Because I think that's one of the biggest issues. Many of them may have felt a sense of imbalance because they feel like nothing's happening and they're losing patience, right? But it seems like this year they're finally going to start seeing things working out a little bit better. They're going to start seeing a little bit more of success, maybe some money coming in, or they're going to start seeing and getting the material needs that they had that they're missing currently. What is the other thing that I'm getting? There's this sense of finally finding your roots, or finding the grounding themselves. We have a couple of trees, so it feels like things are finally blossoming. Like, you know how trees take a very long time to grow? That's kind of what I'm getting. Like things, it took a long time, but things are finally going to start looking up. Now the advice or healing messages that we have is the Lion, this one that we kind of saw, which was the Horse Spirit, freedom is yours, and the last card is the Rhino Spirit, overcome any obstacles. So I think the obstacle here that has to be overcome is a sense of impatience, because this card tells me that many of them have been very impatient. Many of them have felt a bit desperate that things aren't, there's no results, there's nothing going on. And I think that if anything, life is like, calm down a little bit. You will be able to free yourself of that sense of frustration, and you'll be able to move on, because you're going to find the stability slowly. Like this is like the beginning signs of a new beginning. The beginning signs of a new beginning. It's also like the start of, I was gonna say the start of something new. I don't know why I thought of that song from High School Musical, but it's like finally starting to understand or seeing that things are going to be a little bit more stable and grounded. And in this case, it will be finally having like the physical needs met, whatever those needs are. And I'm getting, again, there's a lot of yellow and orange coming from these cards to represent like what NCT, like the energy, I guess, that NCT has. So for NCT 1 to 7, there's again confidence with that yellow and that orange, and then grounded energy with this like brownish, like this brown color and this red. And the lion tells me pride, again, alpha energy. So in fire again, so it feels like there's a lot of mature fire, so finally taking action in a way that has purpose. I think that's the biggest thing, right? Have pride in what you do, have strength and power, and definitely confidence that what you're doing is the right thing, or that it's time to take action, right? Like, be patient, be in the lookout to make sure that you know where to step next, but take those steps, because this is fire, right? So I feel like there's also, we have 33, and if you got that up, that's a 6. So there's finally this sense of stability, there's this sense of balance, right? So we have earth, fire, so that tells me that there's this grounded, maybe a little bit slow moving, but definitely moving forward and taking action towards the things that have to get done. And because of all of this earth energy, it feels like goals are getting accomplished and everything. It feels like people are moving forward and are finally patting themselves in the back and feeling proud, feeling like things are finally looking up, feeling like they can start reaping the rewards, and seeing that things are finally like blossoming, right? Whatever seeds they planted for the group, it's finally going to work out. That's kind of what I see for NCT 1 to 7. So let's get into NCT Dream. Let's see how they're doing currently. So currently we have the Page of Swords. So it seems like there's this sense of like communication. What else? A messenger of messages. We have earth and air, so grounding any messages, grounding new ideas. So maybe there's something new going on with NCT, or like they're also in a new stage, and I think that currently they're in the stage of finally moving on with the grown-ups, or finally going out of the young image that NCT Dream has, and finally entering the other areas of NCT U and NCT 1 to 7, right? So they're finally feeling more like part of NCT, and I think that's something that has been clearly communicated, and there's a sense of companionship that I'm feeling right away. It also feels like they're ready to move on to the next thing, right? Because after the Page of Swords, we have the Knight of Swords. So it feels like they're ready to move quickly, learn quickly, gather knowledge, facts, communicate, expand little by little, right? Like, it feels like they're going from that that airy energy of balance and intellect and objective views, and slowly going on to the next stage, which will be Gemini energy. So getting to know everybody, not necessarily getting along of like we're all best friends, but getting along as in like you can clearly communicate with everybody. So it feels like NCT Dream right now feels like they're part of the group. They feel like they're part of the crew. They feel like they can clearly communicate with everyone. There's like a connection with everyone, and I think that it's still in the beginning stages. So they're all finally going outside of their comfort zone. So finally interacting with the other units, and that's helping them a little bit feel more the sense of companionship. Next, we have what's in store for them this 2021, and we have the Magician reverse. So it feels like there may be more of a focus on the previous two units that I mentioned, and NCT Dream may feel a little bit in the dark, or they may feel like this year, whatever they're trying to manifest with NCT Dream is not going to succeed, or it's not going to bring in the fruitions that they had aimed for, or they may feel some sort of limitations, because the Magician usually shows a balance of all the elements, and it also shows someone that feels the power to make anything happen, someone that has the ability to think, this is what I want, this is what I'm wishing for, and then boom, they make it happen, they make it work. But the fact that it's reversed, it kind of feels like for NCT Dream there's going to be like a pause, or like they're gonna focus more on how NCT Dream can work on the other units. That's kind of what I'm getting. So there may also be a sense of feeling like there's not enough, or feeling like things are not going to work out as expected. So whatever plans they may have for NCT Dream this year, they may feel that it's not benefiting their career. They may feel it's not benefiting their image. It's not working as they will have thought or they will have wished for, because it's reversed. Or they may hesitate to make NCT Dream do anything because of all the focus there is on the other subunits. Like, I'm not too sure. But I'm going to take out the cards for their advice. And we have the camel, another fire sign. We have the owl spirit, you see clearly now. And the last one is the antelope spirit, life is speeding up. So the advice is to keep up. That's like the first thing that I'm hearing. So for NCT Dream is start, keep up. Be prepared for anything, because things are going to go so quickly that they're going to be thrown off balance or out of their comfort zone, or they will start to they're going to start feeling in the dark. So I think that NCT Dream was like the most stable group of all of them. I mean, the most stable unit out of the other two that we saw. But it feels like the transition to this new stage, this new era for the group is going to be a little bit more promising, or a little bit more focused on the other two units. And because of that, NCT Dream is going to feel like they're left in the dark. They're going to feel like they have to prepare for not getting anything, or they have to prepare for long periods of waiting. But the owl spirit, you see clearly now, it tells me that they're all going to, the advice is that they're going to start seeing where they stand with NCT. Like, they were in their bubble of NCT Dream. They're slowly, that one popped, and now they're starting to see how they function within all of NCT, right? So I think that's where the you see clearly now works. But because they're now, there's like, they were in this bubble and now they're like in a bigger circle, that kind of shows me that NCT Dream, the advice that they have is that things are going to start moving quickly. So be prepared for that. Be ready to take action whenever. Things are going to go very quickly. So yeah, be prepared for that. Balance is going to be very important. And what is the other thing? There's the blue moon. So I think also very important, one of the bit of advice that I'm getting is that communicate very clearly how you feel, because we have blue, and blue is the throat chakra, which is communication, and then we have the moon, which is all about emotions and the subconscious. So I think the advice is be wise and say how you feel. Don't be afraid to tell people, look, I need a little bit of time off, or we need to see things clearly now, or like stuff like that, right? It feels like communication is very important, or it will be very important, because most of them are going to start going out of their element, which was the bubble of NCT Dream, and now they're going and expanding to the rest of NCT. So I think it will be very beneficial for all of them to communicate very clearly how they feel with all of these changes, and that will help them settle down and be a little bit more stable for all of the changes that are coming up for them. Now let's go on to the transition and into the last unit, which is WayV. Let's see. So currently we have the Ace of Wands reversed. So it feels like they currently feel like they can't do anything. They can't start any new projects. They can't take action towards anything new, because usually the Ace of anything, it's a new beginning, and in this case we have fire, so it will be the beginning of a new project, business project, the beginning of any passion project, the beginning of taking action of a new cycle. So it feels like the new cycle for WayV is to go from promoting in China and going more towards promoting with NCT. There was a time that a lot of people didn't consider WayV as part of NCT, even though 4 members had already promoted or had been seen as part of NCT. So it's like this whole thing of like they're all going through the transition of going from like promoting in one country to another, and kind of going from working from a sub label and focusing more on the way that SM usually works. So I think that transition has been a little bit difficult for some of them, and currently it's been feeling like many of them have to just wait for things to happen rather than take action like they usually do. So for their career this 2021, we have the wheel reverse. So it feels like things are not going to go as planned. So I have a feeling that there's going to be, the timing is going to be a little bit off. The other thing that I'm getting is that there may be split views of where they should be promoting or how they can milk the money out of them. What is the other thing that I'm getting? This wheel tells me that there's going to be time constraints or issues with time. It also feels like things may not seem in the favor of WayV, and that could be because this subunit will be forgotten a little bit more if SM is thinking of taking NCT as a whole, NCT like as a whole rather than subunits. So they may focus more on the other subunits rather than WayV. The wheel reverse tells me that whatever expectations are being placed on on WayV, it may not go as smoothly as they may have wished. I'm gonna take out a clarifier real quick. So yeah, it seems like times are gonna be a little bit stressful for the career of WayV this year, because we have the Nine of Swords. So a lot of overthinking, a lot of tension, a lot of stress, and I do think that this whole thing of not having the right timing, so maybe losing the right opportunity to take something out could get in the way and bring a lot of tension, and maybe taking things at the wrong time could be the reason why it may feel like this year is not the year for WayV, even though I don't think they necessarily will fail as much as people will think that they didn't do as good as they had expected or assumed they would have done. So in this case, I feel that this is more on, it comes down to perspective, I think. And the advice that we have for them is the Rabbit, the Electric Eel Spirit, bring your ideas to life, and the Canary Spirit, sing your own song. So I do feel that the advice for WayV is do your own thing, because we have two cards that kind of go like, if you do your own thing and do what you want to do, things are going to work out. The Rabbit Spirit is the only one that is not a fire one from the other three subunits that we have seen, and the Rabbit tells me that the advice is to be alert, to be a very good listener, because we have two blue cards, so it's all about communication. It's about the throat chakra. But just because the advice is to be very good at communicating with yourself and with others, it also feels, and be very confident, right? Because we have yellow right here. It also feels like the advice is to be very good at listening. Pay attention to the red flags. Pay attention to your surroundings. Be grounded anyway, right? Also be grounded. Like, it will ground you to pay attention to your surroundings and your environment. And I'm also getting that the advice for WayV is that they'll be more successful if they do their own thing. So I think if they separate themselves a little bit from the rest of NCT, they'll be a little bit more successful. So I think that's why the timing will be a little bit off. It's like, do we work with NCT or do we work on our own thing? Or like, what are we going to do, right? What is the other thing that I'm getting? The Electric Eel, I'm getting that the advice is to always be filled with energy or run in with high emotions, or like the advice will be to continue doing something hype, continue doing something that makes them happy, something that shows how happy they are to do what they're doing. Like, I think they will succeed more if they just if they go at their own flow rather than whatever constraints anybody else may put on them. It's like, go at your own pace, go at your own flow, sing whatever you want to sing, do what you want to do, and you will succeed a lot more than if you follow whatever things are being put upon you. Because there may be a lot of tensions and stress that may come from the company themselves, but if the group just does what they have to do it at their own pace, everything will be a lot better, actually. But yeah, with that, I will leave it there. I don't really know how this is going to work out because, I don't know what SM is thinking to do with NCT. Are they going to promote as a whole group? Is it going to be in subunits? Is it not? So that's why I kind of divided this group reading within each individual subunit, and I also try to keep it very short because that's 4 subunits, so that will take a very long time. And I just kind of wanted to see how this will turn out and see if you guys will enjoy it or not. You know, I mean, I feel a little bit all over the place, which I guess I shouldn't be surprised since it's NCT. I bet they also feel all over the place. But yeah, I think as I said, I'll leave that there. I hope you enjoyed it. This will obviously be a very short video compared to my other ones because yeah, I didn't want this one to be too long because I didn't want to tire myself out with like reading after reading after reading, because yeah, I didn't really want to do like take out an individual card for each NCT member. I struggled with 17, so I wasn't about to take like 23 cards and be like, okay, how will this individual do this year? How will they do this year? As I have done for the other group readings for the other people that I have read for this year so far. So I hope you can understand, right? Like, you know, it takes energy to read the cards. But yeah, with that, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found this entertaining and fun to watch. All of my love and healing from my part to you, and see you on the next video. Thank you for watching, and thank you for all the support. But yeah, bye.